everyone. Thank you so much for being here again. Welcome back to Hannah Worldwide and Friends, the podcast where traveler, experts, and adventurer share their stories. If you want to learn about what it's like living in another country, you want to experience a new culture, or you just love to travel, this podcast is for you. Or maybe you need to get out of your comfort zone, and this podcast might be the inspiration you need. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hi everyone, please welcome with me Smit Banker from India. Smit grew up in India and decided to go abroad to continue his studies. He came to New Zealand in 2018 and stayed here ever since. Welcome, Smit.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you for calling me on your podcast. I feel very humbled, and humbled is the wrong word. I feel very appreciated. I don't know. What's the word?
Honored?
I'm very honored, yes.
Even though I didn't want to give you that word because it's my honor. Thank you so much for doing that and for having time for me and to talk about your own story and to actually be willing to share it. So thank you.
No, again, thank you for having an introvert. Never in a million years I would have ever thought. If you go and back in time and ask 12-year-old Smith, are you ever gonna go on something where thousands of people or hundreds of people will listen anywhere, anytime they can want? Would you do that? I would say no, because it's just something I still can't imagine. I'm sitting here in a podcast studio with you and giving an interview which many people will listen in the future.
I'm even more grateful then because I know, as you said, you're an introvert, but I hope you feel comfortable here, especially it's just me and you.
Yes.
So no one can listen to it yet. Okay. But thank you for being able to opening up. Like also some of the topics we want to talk about today are quite juicy.
Yes, very juicy.
So I will definitely... I'm even more grateful for you to be able to talk about it. So let's dive in and start from the beginning.
Sure.
How did you grow up in India? How did your life in India look like?
India was very interesting. I was never like a bright student, so I never thought I would settle in a foreign country where I had to speak continuously a different language. So each year we got 3 exams in India, which is like first, second, and then finals.
Yeah.
Most of the time I have failed the first 2s and I just passed the third one, which was the final one. And that's the only reason I've progressed. Otherwise, I still don't know. Just thankful to God, I guess.
So you never really saw yourself outside of India because of it?
Yeah. I mean, a small part of me wanted to get settled in foreign, but I never saw it coming in the country as a student.
Yeah.
I was like, I might go after a job, like certain years of work experience and living in India, like already married and then settle with family. I never saw me coming here alone and go through all the years and then now starting to set up a little bit.
So going back in time, how did the young Smit look like? What did his life look like when he didn't think he would be abroad yet?
It was, again, very introverted. I used to ask for books and so comic books kind of stuff. So bit of a geeky.
Yeah.
And then just read it throughout the day. And my mother and father was a manager in a company, so he was working, and mom tried a different type of businesses. She was once a tailor, then she started doing a beautician, so she's still doing her beautician stuff,
right?
And so it was very introverted and interesting also.
Interesting.
Yes. Because being an introvert, it gives you kind of freedom to think, but also kind of not the courage to apply that kind of thinking. So it's like there are 1,000 ideas in the mind which you still can't do any single one of them because you are too afraid to do it, kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So you spend most of the time by yourself and not
Yeah.
like outgoing with other people, communicating a lot.
Till a certain point of life, yes.
Yeah.
After that, I went into the college, and thankfully I got some of the very good friends
Yeah.
who are still I'm being friends with at the moment. And they, I would say, started to bring me out of my shell, and
Yeah.
now I am here, so I'm very thankful to them.
So what has changed, and probably the friends were a big part of it, but what made you change your mind in going overseas to New Zealand to study?
So actually I was applying for I'm sorry, correction. I was first planning to go to Canada because I've got my uncle and cousins there, and some of my college friends were already there as well. So I was like, okay, going into Canada would be a bit more easier.
Yeah.
There are people whom I know. It would be easy to settle into. But the first time I applied, I got rejected. So my parents were like, okay, let's do one thing. Second time, you apply for Canada as well, and just as a backup, some other country as well.
Yeah.
So the other country turned out to be New Zealand, and so both of the applications were going simultaneously, and I got a New Zealand visa first, and my parents, like especially my father, was like, oh, you already got a visa, so why you want to wait for Canada anymore? Just go. Because of the first rejection, he was suspicious that I can get rejected again.
Yeah.
And that will ruin like at least 6 to 7 months for me.
Yeah.
And so he was like, just try out your luck in New Zealand. So I'm here now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Did your parents kind of talk you not into it, but was it an idea of your parents as well that you could potentially go overseas to get some experience? Or do you remember any point in time where you thought, oh, I actually don't want to stay in India my whole life. I really would like to see more of the world, or I would really like to live in a different country? Because there are still people out there who really feel content and happy to just stay in their country, right?
Yeah. So for me, it was different. I'm always obsessed with Hollywood movies and stuff like that. Like, I grew up watching Friends. I grew up watching How I Met Your Mother and other TV shows and stuff like that. So, and because of that, I was like, oh man, I want to experience that type of culture, like having that type of freedom. You can sit in a... At that time, I was very naive. I didn't know you can't sit in a coffee shop half a day. So I was like, that sounds like fun. Let's go let's go outside. And now when I am outside and I see it's not all sunshine and rainbows, I was like, I miss India, especially food and stuff. So yeah, it's grass is always the greener other side, as people say.
That's true, yeah. But it kind of started with like movies.
Yeah, movies, TV shows, and technological advances, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I think when US had started like building malls and stuff, we didn't even know what mall was.
Yeah.
We had like a small dairy type of shops everywhere, and people used to just go in there to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, oh, this is some good idea to have all the shops together where people can do anything they want. Have fun, eat food, watch movies.
Yeah.
If you told me as a child that there would be a place like that, I was like, you are joking. That can't
that
be
sounds
possible.
like heaven.
Yeah, basically.
And you mentioned something like freedom.
Yeah.
How was your childhood or teenage years in terms of you felt like there wasn't that amount of freedom? What was different, and in what way did you feel not as free?
Freedom for me, so first of all, my parents haven't stopped me from doing anything, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They are the ones who encouraged me to go to foreign in the first place. As I said, like my father said, try another country as well. But freedom for me was not being able to do what I think I would like to do at that time. For example, let's say I wanna ask out a girl or something, I wouldn't never do that. So that's like a kind of a blockage for me. It's not being free just because I'm being shy and being introverted. It's stuff like that kind of thing.
Right.
So there are many things like that. For example, attending a party of anyone, like a house parties and stuff like that. Then going to places with friends and family. So there is basically a place in India called Goa, and 90% of the people's plan always fails to go there. And I was like, if I would do that, I'm already better than 90% of the people. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that yet. So stuff like that.
Right. So have you ever had the hope that when you go into another country, you would be more open and outgoing and a little bit less shy? Did you think about that?
Yes, definitely. Coming here has helped me being more open and traveling. I would say in India it was different because I used to only travel with mostly my parents, never with my friends. So I never experienced that, do anything kind of you want freedom. It's always a controlled freedom. Like, oh, you are here, you can do anything you want, but in control. Like, for example, if you wanna I just went to India and I went to a place called Kerala, and my parents are vegetarian, and because of that, if I wanted to try some food in front of my mom, I couldn't. So my friend used to take me secretly just by saying like, oh, let's go, we are gonna do a shopping for the girl that I'm gonna get married to. He is also getting arranged marriage. So then by the that kind of bahana, I don't know what's it called. So basically we have to lie to my mother at that time, okay, we are going for a shopping, and then we go out, we go to a restaurant, have some food that I want, and then come back.
Right, because you enjoy meat.
Yes. Well, I don't eat everything, some selective foods.
Yeah, and you do not have to say it if you don't want to. That's totally fine.
So just certain type of products that I like, for example, chicken, which my parents don't like to eat. They don't even eat eggs at the moment. And unfortunately, I had to try egg because there was a time if I hadn't eaten it, I would have been slept hungry.
Oh no.
So because of that, I had to start egg, and then I get into chicken from there.
Right. Oh, first the egg and then the chicken.
Yes. That's
the main question always, right? What was first? For you, definitely
for me,
this.
Yes.
Funny. Yes, that's interesting. So you felt like when you were, even I felt like this when I was on holiday with my parents, even when I was already above 18. I remember clearly I couldn't just do whatever I wanted, even though I was past 18. Because it's with the parents. They watch you, they do things with you. I think at that time they paid for it, so totally fair. But it's very different from when you actually go on a holiday and travel around with friends, because you literally do whatever. You stay out if you want to, as long as you want to. You bring home whoever you want to, if that's what you want. And of course, nothing like that would happen with parents. So I get it. Like, just the fact that you are away from parents, living away, don't have to tell them every minute what you're doing, where you are, is very different.
So basically, I just remember one thing. There we used to, as I think I was 17 or 18 at that time, and we went to a place called Div, which is like a beach place. And we were staying in a beachside hotel and resort. Mom found out there was a strip club under the floor where we were living, and the trip was planned for like 2 to 3 days. And she was like, okay, let's go home, we are not staying. So we left that place in less than half a day. So what I meant, kind of a controlled freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very. I mean, it's a really nice story to tell now and to laugh about it, but probably at that time you were like, oh man, why are we going so soon?
Yes, I was. It's life.
Funny. Yeah, that's true. Life happens.
Yeah.
What is for you the biggest difference between India, where you grew up, the area where you grew up, because India is huge, so in your area where you grew up and your culture, and then coming to New Zealand, what did you notice are the main differences?
First of all, culture. It's very different, and even in culture, even with Indian people, because India is so big and there are multiple type of cultures. Even with Indian people, there is so many different things. For example, Diwali, which is the most known festival for all of the Indians, is not really that big compared to what we celebrate in my state. It's called Navratri. So the festival goes on for 9 nights. People do stay up 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning doing a certain type of folk dance. And so that's like quite a big thing, and they do it on every occasion they can do, not just on that night. So things like that, like some stuff, for example, Diwali, for whom most of the people, which is very big, it's not too big for us, kind of thing. And food. Other than that, I would say I found very similar things with when I was in uni, and I realized actually Asian people and Indian people have very similar kind of a growing up. They are also very close to family stuff, which I didn't know. For us, when I was in India, people were like, oh, in any foreign country, guys or girls will leave house at like 17 or 18, live with their friends, do like a separate independent living kind of thing. It's like Asian country would be the same, but it was very kind of a shocking for me to find out, okay, no, they also stay like this with their parents and stuff like that. So I also found like similarity within different cultures and differences within same cultural kind of background. So
that's also very interesting. Do you remember meeting someone from India where you thought like, oh my god, that's so different, and you were kind of shocked in that regard?
Yes. Most of the South Indian people, because South India is very highly cultured area compared to Northern India kind of thing. And because of that, we have different languages, we have different festivals and stuff. So for South Indian people, there is another festival. I forgot the name of it, but it's like the biggest festival for them compared to Diwali. So those kind of things, like, okay, these people celebrate this more compared to what we do in our state. Because as a child and till I was in New Zealand, I was like, oh, everyone celebrates Diwali, everyone celebrates Navratri. And when I found out there is no Navratri in South or no Navratri in Maharashtra, which is like a western middle part of India, I was like, okay, maybe there are some differences within India.
That's also good, right? Which is also quite interesting when you think about it. You go abroad and you learn so much more about your own country by meeting other people from other regions and other areas of India. And you didn't even think of that in the beginning. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. There were more food items I'm aware about now than I was when I was in India. Because also in India, I don't know if you heard from any other people, any of your friends as well, but when we are traveling somewhere, we are trying to find the food that we like. For example, if you are traveling Dubai, me being an Indian, I would look for a Indian place, Indian restaurant, stuff like that, instead of going to a Dubai restaurant and try their restaurant. So same stuff. So basically now I know more names and food items about Indian people and Indian states than I was in India, which I was hesitant to try at first because I was like, oh, it's gonna taste bad and money will be wasted. It's awesome now.
That's really cool. Just the fact that you learned so much more about your own country.
Yeah.
In a very different country. But it reminds me really, like, I know a lot of, or let me put it this way. I know a lot of people, and I think I count myself into that as well. If I would go overseas and travel, I wouldn't go for the food. I love the culture, I love the architecture, I love the people and all of that, the climate, the plants. But food, I was always a picky eater, so I was always scared to try new things because I was worried I won't like it and I feel sick. So food was never my motivation. So I would probably be that typical German girl going overseas and trying to find more German food or like the things I know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like that too, also from my country. But I also have a lot of friends who are traveling and they are like, oh my God, I love the food. I love the Asian street food. I love this food. I love that food. And one of the big motivations to travel is food for them.
Yes.
So they try everything and I love that. But I'm still careful. But since I live in New Zealand, I have tried so many different cuisines. I'm so grateful. I have had so many different Indian dishes, so many different, I don't even know, just any other like Thai, Chinese. I tried chicken feet. I have to say I don't have to eat it again. I had way too many bones. But, you know, I now, since I live here, started to try new things and know now what I like and what I don't like. And if I go to a different country, now I can say, I can go to an Indian restaurant and try this. I can go to an Iranian restaurant, try that, to Thai. I know what I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I was like that. I would be like, I only go with schnitzel. So, yeah, totally. Memories.
Yeah. Always going for the safe option.
Yeah. Really, because you're hungry, you want something. And if you like everything else of the new country, then it's okay to eat something familiar.
Yeah.
Now coming to a very interesting topic for me.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations. You are engaged now.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am engaged now.
And I have to say, it is an arranged marriage.
Yes.
I have to bring up a big disclaimer. There are still a lot of marriages out there, which are arranged marriages, which are the women are forced into it, and also still existing a lot of minor getting married and forced into an arranged marriage. So we are only talking about arranged marriage out of Smits' point of view today. So I'm not wanting to say it's good, it's bad or anything. It's just a neutral discussion about Smits' experience. And I also checked out a page where it was like a study of 2024 around arranged marriages, and it was according gitnux.org. So I don't know how safe these data are, but or how trustworthy, but it says that 55% worldwide are arranged marriages and 90% are arranged marriages in India. So it's still like a massive discussion and in a massive topic. And I have now, since I'm here and since I have more Indian friends, I have come across the topic frequently, and I have multiple friends who agreed on an arranged marriage, and they are my age, like our generation. And I'm intrigued because clearly I knew that in India it's really common, and especially with the older generation, and as said, lots of forced ones, but we are talking now about the ones which are like both parties agree. And I thought that the younger generation is a little more, no, I don't want this. I want love marriage. I want to do it on my own. I want to find a partner on my own. But I have met both. I have met people who are married through love marriage, and I have met people who are super happy with having an arranged marriage by their parents, and you are one of them. So I really want to know, how's that for you? How do you feel like having an arranged marriage in general? Let's just start the conversation. I'm sure I will ask more.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, arranged marriage is quite a common practice in India still nowadays. And also love marriage is starting to get more and more kind of preferred choice nowadays.
Yeah.
But for people like me, someone who's very shy and introverted and who probably wouldn't have courage to go talk to a girl, I think love marriage was never an option for me. And
Yeah.
that's, if it wasn't done for me like an arranged marriage, then probably I would have lived my whole life single. And so I'm very grateful to the girl as well, to her family, to my family, that we came together and we started things up.
Yeah.
We chatted, we went out on a few dates, and now it's going in a direction.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for that. But also, yeah, there are some arranged marriages. For example, my parents, they never saw each other before they got married.
Wow.
And like my mother and father didn't even knew that they have already been engaged.
Wow.
Because in the old traditions, they used to change like a rupee, a 1 rupee coin. And when they change those, that basically means that boys and girls are engaged now.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, they came home and then they found out, okay, my engagement is done.
Oh,
so it's
that's
much
crazy.
better in that sense. Nowadays we get choice to see the partner, to talk to them, and then if you like it, you go ahead. If you don't like it, you move on to the next choice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How did it happen for you? Did you kind of give your parents the okay to go ahead, or did you say, "Hey, I'm ready to meet a person. I'm not able to do it on my own. Are you able to, find someone?" Like, how did it work for you?
So for me, my parents were already looking the girls while I was still in New Zealand before I visited India. And so basically it's similar to job finding kind of thing. There is a girl's biodata where they mentions girl's name, where they live, what they do, kind of stuff, what's their birth chart, birth time and stuff like that. And then there is boys, similar kind of details. They match it up against each other, and if they find it's a good fit, they will go ahead. They'll talk to the girl's parents, and boys' parents will talk to each other. If they like it, then they will forward my number to the girls and girls' number to me, and then we'll have a chat for some days, and then we'll see if we hit it off or not.
Yeah.
So for me, that's how it was. But unfortunately, while I was still in New Zealand, I didn't really get chance to know a girl that much, because I was not sure about meeting girl just from video calls or like a chat on WhatsApp. So when I went to India, I met like 2 or 3 girls, and out of 3 girls, I selected the current girl, Neelam, her name is.
Yeah.
And we met just like 4 days before I was about to leave for New Zealand. So we went on multiple dates, like each day 1 to 2 hour we used to meet. We used to chat about stuff like, what do you want to do? Are you going to move to New Zealand? Do you want me to come back to India and stuff like that? And then I was still not sure after 4 days. So I asked for a bit of a time, and I think I said yes after I came to New Zealand, actually, not when I was in India.
Yeah.
So I took about a week's time, and then I said yes to the girl.
Yeah. And what made you think that, because for me, and I'm just so curious,
Yeah.
I could never imagine meeting someone and then having to make a decision so quick on marriage, because I want to get to know someone and I don't mind dating for years before you actually realize, okay, this person is a really good fit. You get along, you have same values, you can live together. It works out really well. And then kind of that could be a potential next step. But for you, what made you feel comfortable to actually agree on marriage and to think you will have a happy life? Or did you even think so far? Like, was it like, yeah, did you think ahead that far? Or did you just, think it will be all right?
So, one thing in arranged marriage is very easy thing is that you know already that both the parties, girls and the boys, want to have a family. They want to go ahead with their life. They want to create a life together.
Yeah.
So you already know that, okay, this part is we are sure of. Now you only have to know about their feelings and stuff towards you, or the respect towards each other and stuff like that. And for my case, for example, the only complaint I had with the girl was she doesn't talk too much yet. And for me, I was first quite a while actually, I was like, oh, this girl's not talking too much. Like, I don't know if she's interested in me or is she being forced from her family, or due to social pressure. But after a while, I started to see it as a positive sign. Like, if there is a girl whom I still want to know, like, there is a curiosity about her. So that basically means in my mind somewhere I'm planning to go ahead with her, planning to know more about her.
Yeah, so you feel interested in her as a person.
So and I took that as like a interest in her. And then I said, okay, if that's the only complaint, that she's not talking too much right now, then once we get to know each other better, and I still got like about a year till I go back to India and get married and stuff.
Right.
By that time, we will have more time. We will have more calls, chats, and stuff like that. So and that made me feel like more comfortable saying yes.
Right, because I can imagine that the girl must be also maybe shy, and it's like a whole different thing to actually decide if you want to get married to a person, because, ideally marriage means forever, right?
Yeah.
So that's the part probably where I'm scared as well. Like, you can't really, like, usually you would slowly start developing feelings, and then it would grow, and you would think like, okay, I really, really like this person, and I like this person more than another person. So that's probably, how do you feel like knowing that, or do you trust in the process that it will happen, that that feelings will start and feelings will come?
I don't really think about all of that stuff. For example, for me personally, 3 important things for a marriage to work is a mutual respect for each other. And love, and like showing up for each other when they need you, like a support kind of thing. So if you see it this way, even after, if you take a love marriage, for example, after a while, you hear like guys were dating for 7-8 years, and after getting married in 6 months, they got divorced and stuff like that. I still heard many examples like that. Not that arranged marriage doesn't have divorce, they also do. But at least they were not in love like the love marriage guys were before. They didn't even knew the person, so there could be multiple reasons. But for love marriage, so basically what I'm trying to say, for me, mutual respect and support is above feelings, any kind of feelings. For example, I've also got feelings for many of my friends. Like, I like them, I love them to death, but I'm not gonna getting married to her and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's very interesting to see like how certain values are above the feeling, and then you just trust that the feelings will develop over time, which of course happens all the time as well. I think it's just scary for me. Like the idea you are married to a person and you don't know if you develop feelings, because what if you never develop any feelings and you actually don't like that person that much to spend every single day with them? Like that's like a massive commitment. So
it is scary actually. I don't know, I've heard it from I think some YouTube video, or there was a guy who advised me, if nothing, try to find a partner whom you can have a chat or conversation with, because after a while everything will be gone. Like you might develop feelings, you might not, but conversation is something that will keep you guys going. Like you can talk about anything, you can talk about everything. So basically try to being best friends with them. So that's one advice that I've gotten from, I wish I could remember who was that guy, because that's the guy whom I'm basing my future life on, like what I'm betting my future life on. So but so that's what my new mantra is, like if nothing, try to have conversation.
That's definitely a good rule of thumb, I guess. And very interesting. Like it still blows my mind. I still would not agree to any of it ever. But
understandable.
I also had friends who were saying the argument, for example, well, I haven't managed to find a person yet by myself. And my parents know me so well, they might really know what's best for me, so they might as well just choose a person for me. And they were okay with that as well. They said, okay, they gave me the chance to find someone and I didn't find anyone. And now I'm ready to let them decide. Like, I found that very interesting too, because I probably would rather stay single for a long time. But who knows, if my mom, for example, knows someone and says like, here, I have a friend, do you want to just say hi? There's no reason why this person not might be a good fit for me. But, I would not after a week say, oh yeah, I marry that person. I would be like, oh, he's actually quite nice. Maybe I go on a date with him. And then maybe I would date him for some years. Like, that's how, in my mind, I could probably not change it. I would be terrified getting married to someone I barely know.
It is terrifying, but you gotta have the faith. And basically I see arranged marriage nowadays, same as you said. I also got a friend, it's actually my flatmate's mate, who is currently working with her, and she was at our house and we were discussing about the same stuff. And I think she was in a happy relationship, and I think some sort of disruptions happened and now she's divorced. And because of that, she was like, oh, I wish my parents would pick someone for me. Like, that would have been better option, I guess. Because parent always knows what's the best for the kid. So nowadays, I've kind of started watching arranged marriage as like opening your Tinder account and giving it to your parents, and they'll select, okay, not this girl, not this guy, and stuff like that.
It's crazy times. And in that case, I definitely not agree. I don't think parents know always the best for their children, but I do believe that they always mean the best. They always want the best for you, and they would always try their best. But of course, they sometimes don't even know you fully. They don't know your deepest, their deepest fear, your deepest fears and your deepest wishes. Like, there are certain things you just don't really communicate to your parents as well. And so having that, I would think, okay, maybe they find someone who is nice, but I don't necessarily agree with they always know what's best for me. I think sometimes they are surprised how I have grown and what person I became or I'm still becoming. So yeah, it's very interesting approaches. But I think, can you talk a little bit more about that whole cultural background around arranged marriages? Because a lot of people don't know, and I'm not as knowledgeable in that topic.
Yeah, sure. So arranged marriage in India has been happening from years now. Like my grandparents were married, that was arranged marriage. My parents, as I said, that was arranged marriage. I have also got an arranged marriage now, and I think over the year it has evolved as well. For example, when my grandparents married, they were both like 18,
Yeah.
which was like a legal married age at that time. But in some states in India now, still nowadays, they will not married because it's not legal yet, but they will fix the girl and the groom at like year of age of 12 or 13, and they will know like, okay, this is the guy that I'm gonna get married to, kind of stuff, and they will be married by when they turn 18. And so from that to my parents, where they were good age, like 20 to 25, which is for our caste, it's about to get married kind of age, like you have to be married by that time. So they were good in age, but they didn't saw each other, they didn't get a chance to know each other before the marriage. And from that to mine, where I saw a multiple kind of girls and then went with the one that's good for me, and hopefully good for her.
Hopefully.
So it's evolved, but I'm very interested to see how long it's gonna go, like keep evolving for, especially with the love marriage kind of growing in ratio compared to arranged marriage. So I'm like, okay, what's the next step now?
I have also read in that article that love marriages and arranged marriages are actually less often having a divorce. But of course, they can have a lot of different reasons. So I feel like it's hard to tell, because some people feel forced to stay in a relationship and marriage as well. So it's hard to compare things where you don't know the background. You don't know if people are scared to get a divorce, or it's like culture is so unaccepted that would be really bad. And, so definitely it can grow, like love can grow through an arranged marriage as well. Would you think, seeing your parents being arranged as well, did you grow up seeing them as a loving family and a loving couple, or did it come across more practical, that you thought like, okay, they might not love each other that much, but they are really respectful and they are like working everything out? Or would you think, my parents are definitely a good example for getting arranged marriage, but growing that love? Only if you want to talk about it. That's very, very personal.
No, it's fine. That's very interesting question. First of all, something about India you should know. PDA is not a thing in India. Like, people won't show affection in front of someone, even though they are family.
Yeah, PDA.
Yes. So that kind of thing, like my parents giving each other, they obviously give each other gifts on anniversary and stuff like that. And so they'll still be a shy when like my grandparents are there in the room. If it's birthday cake, they won't give each other the first bite of the cake. They will either go to someone else and then come back to each other and stuff like that. So I still like sometimes force them to do it. For example, if there is a Valentine Day, I'll ask my father to get rose for my mother, and I'll ask my mother to give some type of gifts for my father and stuff like that, because they never got like a chance to do all of that or know each other before getting married. And after getting married, it's usually, especially in Indian households, have kids, have family, start to run family. For example, when I was in India like a month ago, my parents were like, you are getting very old. I was like, I'm not old. Like, people, like, if you not just India, if you think about the whole world, the average marriage happens around 30 to 32-ish age. So I still got some time. And my parents were like, by the time, at the 32 years of age, you are already 10, 10 years old for us. And like, that's necessary for them because they are coming from the mentality where like, if a person's like 50 years old, then they are starting to get older. For example, in the old times, 70 years was the max people were expected to live.
Yeah.
So they only get like that 20 years after getting to 50, where they want to have support from the child and stuff like that.
Right.
So they are like, you'll need support at some point. So if you get like into the marriage and have kids after 20 or 25 years, when the kid is stable, that's only when you're gonna get that kind of support in future.
That's an interesting part as well.
Yeah.
So what happens if you say, okay, I want to get married, but I actually don't want to have kids?
That's a whole different conversation. That conversation even I'm not prepared to have with my parents. Thankfully for me, it's never a doubt that I didn't want a kid. Like, even I wanted kids. The girl I'm engaged to wants kids. But there are many incidences nowadays where people prefer to have no kids. Thankfully, in most of the arranged marriages, like 85 to 90%, people are sure that they want to build a family, and that's why they are getting into it. Otherwise, there is not even point for them to meeting someone through their parents. They can directly go through a dating app and stuff, or get into a love marriage. And so that being in arranged marriage, that's very helpful to know, okay, this person sure that they want to build a family, and that's why we need to, like, we can go ahead together. We don't have to worry about if they want kids or not, or when they want it or not. And we still do talk about all of that stuff. For example, on my first date only, I know this is the concern that's going up in younger generation to not have kids. The first, I think, 5 questions I asked about was building a family in future and stuff. So you still get a chance. It's not like, okay, after getting married, you're gonna find out they don't want kids. You will know firsthand anyway.
Because,
and then you can know. And that actually kind of gives you for example, for many people, I've seen in movies as well. Actually, in How I Met Your Mother, when the Robin wants kids, there was that Indian guy, Kalpesh Kalpen. And he thought, okay, maybe in future I would change her mind about having kids, and they kept dating. Like, they went on, and after a while, like 2-3 seasons, which, for example, 2-3 years, they are still not changing their mind, then it's basically kind of
it's already the end of the relationship, because you kind of just hoped for something which was never properly discussed.
So it's basically kind of, for me, it's like a ended relationship just went on for too long. Because if you are too sure, if one person sure that they want that, and other person sure that they don't want that,
then clearly their goals go right.
So arranged marriage kind of helped me with that, because even I was not sure what to do, because I'm still getting into like settle kind of thing. And ultimately I decided, okay, I want kids. That girl wants kids. Okay, that is out of the question now. We both know we want family. So we don't have to worry about that question. Okay, what will happen in future kind of thing.
That's nice.
So that kind of saves you the time and like effort of years into the relationship.
And disappointment at the end. Have you ever thought about dating someone from a non-Indian background, or was that never really a thing?
I mean, if everyone would, let's see. First of all, I don't mind like to go on a date with different background girl, But then also there would be a cultural clash, a value clash. For example, many of the people that I knew from like who was outside of India when I came to New Zealand, even in Wellington or in Hamilton, some of like about 30% of the people didn't like their family because of either the parents were drug abusers and stuff like that, and they were like very abusive towards kids, and they can't wait to get out the family.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing I don't like, because for Indian, being an Indian person, family is like always a backseat driver for the relationship. And I was like, okay, let's see. So that kind of clashes happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind going out on a date when I was available with a different cultural background. Actually, I think I have been on a date once or twice as well.
So you kind of wouldn't mind dating someone from a different culture if they have similar values and
yeah.
like family would be their backbone, and they really, really love that part, and they want to stay with the family, live close with the family, and want like the same things. So
again, this is sounding like a very not independent kind of thing. So I would just like to mention that, like, no, even in India nowadays, people do live separate from their parents. Like, they build their own houses. But what we'd like to prefer, for example, ourselves, my whole family, my uncle is like living 2 to 5 minutes walking distance from my house. My grandparents same, my another uncle is the same. So we still have our independent life, but in this, for example, some sort of emergency, when you need someone, they are there.
Yeah, fair enough. I have to say that's the way I grew up as well. Like, we were in a small town and all my aunties and uncles were around, my grandparents, and we were all in the same town, and we would live close by. We would have a lot of support. My mom was with 2 kids, me and my brother, and my dad was working a lot, so he was only there on the weekend, and so my grandparents helped, and we were staying at my grandparents' place as well. And my mom was so grateful because she was working a lot. So how can you take care of 2 little children when you are mainly by yourself? So it's important, and I think a lot of people think that our culture is completely against, family and stuff. I think a lot we have similarities, but we do enjoy our freedom, and especially the young generation is more likely to move away because of job opportunities. In a small town, you don't really get that, and to just see the world, go out, and we are definitely okay with that. But then I know a lot of people who are like, I'm now a little bit older, I have my own family, and now I want to go back closer to my parents. I want them to be there. I want them to see their grandchildren. Like, I feel like a lot of people think Western cultures don't really cherish family as much. I would think.
I used to be one of those type of people because, as I told you, I've grown up watching all those movies of Hollywood and stuff where the children or teenagers kind of people live separate from the family. But when I came to New Zealand, especially in Hamilton, I've got many of my friends who are so close to their family. I was like, are you sure you are from like...
Aren't you Indian?
Yeah. I actually do tease those guys like, you should be in India. You shouldn't be here.
See, like, that's also a learning curve, right? We get to know each other more, and we can have all these, not misunderstandings, but stereotypes about different cultures. We can actually talk. Some are right, some are exactly like that, but some are just really dependent on the family. So thank you so much, Smit. It was a very, very interesting topic. And as mentioned before, that's really just based on what you have experienced and what your views around that topic are. And I end every episode with the quick 3 questions. So you are not an exception. Are you ready for yours?
Sure, fire it away.
Perfect. So now, living in New Zealand, do you think you will settle down here, or do you think you want to live somewhere else with your then family?
There is a 70% chance I'll live in New Zealand, but I wouldn't ignore the rest 30%.
Right. Do you have a country in mind where else you could imagine living?
Probably Europe, because it's kind of a center point from US and Canada, where most of my cousins and friends are,
Right.
and India, where my parents and grandparents and relatives live. So it's kind of a center point, and like flight frequency is good and closer to everyone.
But you don't have a specific country in mind?
Not yet.
Fair enough. Okay. Next question.
Sure.
What do you miss the most about home, like India?
Home cooked foods from mother, grandmother, everyone. Friends.
Yeah.
And just talking in like our slang, kind of, talking our emotions through our language.
Yeah.
It's very tough when I still like call my cousin who's in US at the moment, and he wants to talk in English because he wants to show off his English skills. And I was like, bro, I'm tired of talking English throughout the day. Please don't make me talk to you in English now.
Please let me
My mind is constantly translating.
Yeah. Oh, I relate to that. I just hopped off a phone call with a friend, and it lasted 3.5 hours of speaking German, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yes, totally agreed.
Yeah, because of course it's our second language, and yes, we are fluent in it now, and we have to think less than in the beginning, but still, it's tiring.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Oh, okay. Now I extended it quite a lot. Next question and last question.
Sure.
What do you love the most about New Zealand?
Nature, people, and let's see, nature, people. That's like 90% of New Zealand, isn't it? Food is bland. Okay, I'll just say nature and people.
Yeah, because funny enough, you could have gone with one, and you always thought about at least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think I've been blessed when I came to Hamilton. I met some of the best people I've ever lived with, worked with, or interacted with.
Nice. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
And they are not all from India, right?
No, they are not.
That's great. Like making new friends also internationally. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Smit. It was really great having you.
Thank you so much for inviting.
And thanks to shine some light onto the whole topic of arranged marriage. And also, I know it's like a really personal topic. So thanks again for opening up, especially as an introvert.
No worries. Happy to open when... It's like introvert people don't get many chances to be open, so this is quite an opportunity to load off everything.
Okay. I should keep asking.
I wouldn't suggest that I would be here.
No, it's enough for now, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I hope for everyone who's listening, who is cooking maybe, or walking their dog, or are just going on a walk, that they enjoy this episode as well. And I hear you next time. Bye.
Bye.